get on YouTube and then we can proceed with that.
You're live on YouTube.
Okay.
Okay, now let's see here.
So everybody good? Wayne, we good?
Yep, you should have our,
All right.
should have the flag up.
Sounds good. So let me call this meeting to order and let the time show that it's 7:07 p.m. And to start off, I would like to have everyone join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
to the flag
of the
of the
United
States of America
and
to the republic
for
for
which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and
and justice for all.
for all.
Thank you, everybody. Ms. Reed, could I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Lauren C. Slack,
Here.
Dale Hine,
Here.
Jillian Everett,
Here.
Jason Bashaw,
Here.
Christy Cooper,
Here.
Carol Cunningham,
Here.
Sean McGinley,
Here.
Donald Panto,
Here.
and Dwayne Dietrich.
Here. Thank you very much. Just so everyone knows, we did have an executive session this evening for legal and personnel reasons. We held this prior to the meeting at approximately 6 p.m. Moving on to item number 5, presentations and audience input on the agenda. So do we have any public?
We don't have any comments yet.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will then move on to the presentations part of the item. A PSBA services update, Ms. Karen DeVee.
Good evening, and thank you for including me on tonight's agenda and for your membership to PSBA. It's my pleasure to be connecting with you virtually tonight. Before I get to my primary purpose for being here tonight, I have a few reminders I would like to share with the board. Board presidents panels began in January and they are running through April 14th. The February 10th session tomorrow is titled Setting the Tone, Unifying the Team of 10. And we always offer a noon and a 6 p.m. program. The school board secretary's monthly exchange is the second Thursday of each month at 12:30. And the monthly exchange for all school directors is the third Thursday of each month at 12:30. The weekly buzz for board leadership and liaisons is every Tuesday at 12:30. We began that session right after the pandemic began last April, and we've been running that session ever since. Today we had 100 people joining us from across the state. And then Advocacy Day is March 22nd. Everything I mentioned is virtual and complimentary for the members. Just go on our website to register. You look under My PSBA or just email me at karen.devine@psba.org and I can help get you registered. Tonight, it is my privilege to honor your school directors for their service. Each year, January is designated as School Director Recognition Month. I was unable to make it in January, but thank you for allowing me to honor you tonight. This is a time for us to celebrate and recognize the challenging and important work boards do on behalf of students, public schools, and communities. PSBA would like to express its gratitude for the school director's dedication to the success and safety of every student. January has been School Director Recognition Month since our governing board's proclamation more than 35 years ago. And in January this year, the governor proclaimed January School Director Recognition Month. So we're very proud of that. This year, now more than ever, it was important for me to personally thank as many school directors as possible. So I want to thank you for your service during these most challenging times. And thank you for allowing me to be here to express our gratitude from PSBA. Again, thank you for including me in your agenda tonight. It was great to be here. I thank you for all you do for public education, and I hope you have a great evening.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, moving on to item 6, administration, board discussion and reports. First up, academics and education. Dr. Lutz Demling.
Good evening, everyone. The Academics Committee met on Wednesday, February 3rd at 5 o'clock. During that meeting, I reviewed a comparison of fall 2019 and fall 2020 attendance data. Mr. Schnug reviewed the updates to the 2021-2022 Catasauqua High School Career Planning Guide, and that is on the board agenda this evening for approval. Additionally, Mr. Schnug he shared some information about the high school dual enrollment and pre-apprenticeship programs, as well as the high school PAYS work development lab. Ms. Inselman shared some information and updates related to virtual programs at Catasauqua Middle School, remind usage data, and mid-year academic attendance data and associated interventions. And finally, Mr. Dauberman shared information related to Scheckler kindergarten registration, PSSA preparation, and CDT testing, as well as some current learning model data and information about the digital science fair. And that was pretty much everything we discussed. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions for Dr. Demling? Seeing none. Thank you, Dr. Lutz Demling. Moving on, finance, Mr. Spangler.
Thank you. Administration is preparing the first look for the 2021-2022 budget for March presentation and discussion. We're very fortunate. Our fund balance is stable at this point. It's over $1 million in our fund balance. Our revenues are also quite stable or growing, with the exception mostly of the Lehigh Valley International Airport parking tax for obvious reasons. Not very much travel relative to other years occurring. We are in receipt and anticipation of some COVID relief funds. There are 2 rounds that are presently out there and a potential 3rd round as our federal government is considering that. So we will wrap that into our budget for next year and actually the following year as well. We are examining capital purchases and some small projects for the refinance savings that we will occur next year. We also are looking at establishing a capital fund with some of those funds. We are also examining our staffing for next year to support continued COVID mitigation practices for at least through the next fall, but most likely for the majority of next year in alignment with Pennsylvania Department of Health guidelines. So we're very much in tune to that and determining our staffing for next year based on that. Our refinance was a 2-step refinance. Just as a reminder, we did the first step of that on November 24th of 2020. And the second stage or step of that is will close on February 11th, 2021. And we did receive about a 1.6% rate on that. Our current year savings is $380,507, and the 2021-22 savings are $1,322,500 savings. Those are pure savings, and we will reflect those in our budget. You know, when I was referencing some of the anticipated one-time expenses we'll be looking at, we will use some of those dollars towards that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. You're back up, Mr. Spangler. Buildings and
Okay.
grounds.
All right, thank you. Building and grounds. An alumni field design team meeting was held on Tuesday, January 26th. At that time, we reviewed state contract pricing proposals from Dewey Engineering for the field work, the bleachers, and the lighting. We also discussed scoreboard options and decided to recommend the large LED screen option pending a final review by Dewey Engineering. We have some questions that, you know, we would like some answers to before we bring that to the board next month. We reviewed and discussed the field house plans to date. A pre-bid meeting for the field house is scheduled for this Thursday. And that is a time when, you know, contractors who are potentially interested in bidding on the field house alone project would come to that meeting and, you know, take a look at the area and have potentially some questions and things like that. So that's actually this Thursday. We held a building and grounds committee meeting. We held that virtually and publicly on Wednesday, February 3rd at 4 p.m. We had representatives from Dewey Engineering there to present an update on the stadium project and confirm the direction of the stadium design team group. The committee does recommend, as a result of that meeting, recommended the 3 contracts that you see on tonight's agenda, and those are for site work, for bleachers, and for lighting. And again, they are on this evening's agenda. The committee also recommends, yeah, I said that already, approval on the board agenda tonight. So I doubled that one. So we do have that on tonight's agenda towards the end for discussion and approval. We also discussed some capital items. Mr. Hine recommended to possibly establish a capital fund or some sort of fund from our refinance savings for future costs like turf replacement and things like that. So I think that's something that we will wrap into the budget for your consideration. We discussed various equipment and vehicles that will require replacement or recommended purchase, and that would be a backhoe, a replacement dump truck, a pickup truck replacement, custodial cleaning equipment, some technology infrastructure, which we do have actually those items on the agenda tonight because of the nature of the timing for some federal dollars that we can receive. We have middle school lockers, which is the last phase of that replacement, which would be the 8th grade wing replacement, middle school stage curtains and some carpet replacement, Sheckler window ceiling and brick point ceiling mostly on the north side of the building, high school blinds, and then miscellaneous items. So those are some of the things we talked about that we need to attempt to wrap into the budget for next year. And lastly, I did meet with Mr. Travers at the Borough of Catasauqua regarding any digital sign ordinances and regarding the new scoreboard at Alumni Field. He will research that and advise back to me, and I'll get back to you as a result. And that's it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions?
One quick question. We eliminated the snow removal device, and we were going to do that by hand. How's that working out? Does Lois have any input on that?
Sorry, Dale, I don't, the snow removal device,
For the buses?
Yes.
oh, yeah, they're still using they use the catwalk that was on the pole building from when it was originally constructed, and that seems to work well.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know, to make sure that, us removing snow from the buses is working fine, that we don't have the snow removal device anymore. Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Spangler. Moving on to policy, Mr. Nur.
Thank you. I recently got a phone call from Lois as she was doing some of the reconciliations of the cafeteria fund. And she has a very large set of, I believe, 38 pages worth of transactions that need to be cleaned up. And as she was tracking all of that down, wanted to make a couple of changes to the food services policy. You may remember a couple of years ago, we had amended the policy to conform with federal regulations, which require that if students are running a negative balance, and we conclude that it's going to be a bad debt that we can't collect, that we have to pay that in from the general fund to the cafeteria fund to clear that out. And what Lois would like to do is basically take an assumption that if a person leaves the school district and is no longer living within the school district at the end of a year, that we're going to treat that as being a bad debt and not wait on a case-by-case basis for us to eventually decide that that's a bad debt, so that they can take care of a whole number of those kinds of matters at the end of a year when it's pretty clear we're never going to see that money again anyway. So we put some language in that makes that if an account becomes inactive because the student no longer is going to our schools, and then on top of that, the person moves away, so that they're not going to be coming back to our school as a student. And we haven't collected it at that point already, that we're going to give up on it at that point and treat it as a bad debt, and then go about having the school district pay that money into the general fund. Now, at the same time as we're doing that, we have to deal with the situation about where there are credit balances in some of the accounts. One of the rules that we've had for a number of years is that if there's a $5 or more credit balance, we send out a check and this is for a student who's a graduate, we send out a check to them automatically. Lois wanted to increase that to $10 because if it's small amounts and tracking them down and dealing with individual checks are difficult. Now, the general rule will always apply if somebody asks us for their credit balance, or if they tell us to transfer it to some other student, whether it's their own student or to some other student or as a donation in general, that always can be done. But in a situation where we've heard nothing from anybody and a graduate goes by, we'll only write out a check if it's for $10 or more if we don't hear from them. In addition, we put in some language that would allow the school district, not require them, but we've already put a mechanism in place in our policy that that if a person wants to make a future donation of any credit balances that might occur and that are laying around for a fairly long period of time from somebody, that would be allowed to take place. Now, we're not talking about just an automatic situation where somebody's credit balance is transferred to someone else, because as a general rule, the state has a law on abandoned and unclaimed property that says after 3 years, that money goes to the state. However, if we can set up this donation program in such a fashion that a person is clearly agreeing that they want to make a donation to somebody else, that we can allow that to take place and then be able to transfer that money as a donation into our account. And then that would be able to go to pay off some of our bad debt before it would become bad debt and have to be paid by the school district general fund into the cafeteria fund. So we made that change language also to the policy. And in addition, Dan Mothersbaugh noted that the myschoolaccount.com program that we used for online payments into the cafeteria fund may not be used anymore. Maybe we're going to go to somebody else. So I changed the language in the policy to make that more generic, to be whatever program we decide to have for online payments, rather than just myschoolaccount.com. And finally, there had been a provision in the policy in the past that said we would send out certain letters to all the students at the beginning of a year And Dan felt that that was more trouble than it was worth, so he asked that that be deleted. So you see that deleted as well in the policy. Anybody has any other questions about the changes to policy 808? Be glad to talk about it.
Anyone? Anyone? Thank you, Mr. Nur.
Thank you.
Moving on to athletics, Mr. Mall.
Yes, thank you. We had an athletic committee meeting last week as well. We talked about winter sports. In winter sports, we are probably at the midpoint right now. We were able to do senior nights for girls basketball and boys basketball. District wrestling for individual district wrestling will take place February 20th and 21st. A site has not yet been determined. The District 11 committee did determine that our boys and girls basketball tournaments are going to be open tournaments, meaning all schools will be able to participate. That begins the first week of March. So March 1st is when that tournament will begin. And considering the situation that everybody's been under, our student athletes, coaches have done a pretty good job and hearing all the protocols that we have put in place. And, you know, there's still obviously room for improvement, and we've tried to stress that to all of our coaches and players. And I think the kids have done a pretty good job. We are also right now, we did signups for spring sports. The first practice date is Monday, March 8th. If there obviously is no snow on the ground, we're trying this week to get the spring sports physical paperwork distributed to the kids. So that's sort of where we are with spring sports. And just a couple of recognitions for some of our athletes. We were able to recognize our Lehigh Valley Soccer Scholar Athlete nominees. The girls was Hamaya Jenkins and the boy was Derek Troxel. Normally that foundation does a banquet at the end of January, but obviously that was canceled this year because of the pandemic. And at our boys basketball senior night, we recognized two award winners. Derek Troxel was named the Tom DeLong Award winner for the outstanding senior boys basketball player, and the Gerald Case Award to a individual who has shown great determination and support of our program went to Cole Schiffer. And girls basketball, the Dave Cunningham Memorial Award to the outstanding senior girls basketball player, and that went to Lexi Ruschatz. So that's sort of a brief update on where we are with sports at the current moment. Obviously, with the weather and everything else that's going on, we're doing our best to get games in and, you know, move along the season and try to get through winter and get us prepared for spring.
I'll definitely second that for sure. Any questions for Mr. Mull? No, seeing none. Okay, moving on. Next is Carbon Lehigh Intermediate Unit. I'm sorry.
I said thanks. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're welcome. Carbon Lehigh Intermediate Unit 21. That's me. We had our regularly scheduled board meeting on the 27th of January, and just a few things that came out of that, or ongoing issues, not issues, that's not the right word, topics. CLEA negotiations are progressing nicely, so we expect to have that wrapped up pretty soon from a contract standpoint. And the item 12B on tonight's agenda is the approval of the CLIU 21 budget. And I just wanted to point out a couple things that overall there was a 0% change in the district, overall district contributions. Catasauqua did have a slight increase, but that was because of quite frankly participation due to the formulas. And I would ask you to please consider approving that tonight when we make that motion. And that's all I had for the IU. Any questions? Seeing none, moving on. Borough of Catasauqua, Mr. Hine.
Yes, I participated virtually last Monday in the borough meeting, and there was no input that concerned the school district. I do want to comment that the student representatives are usually it's Derek Troxel is always present at the meeting virtually, and he seems to be, you know, taking a good a good account for, being part of the Borough of Catasauqua Council.
Very good. Excellent. Any questions for Mr. Hine? Seeing none. Moving on, Borough of North Catasauqua, Mr. Bashaw.
So I received this month's notes from the meetings, and the two things I do want to talk about is really there's nothing much related to the school district, like Dale said, but I do want to say that the DNL trail is underway, and they are cleaning that out very, very well going up to Northampton. There are a lot of meetings scheduled for these upcoming months, so just keep your eyes out if you're interested in being part of any of those. They are really looking for community participation in those meetings to design and develop those and get ideas for the property and the DNL trail. Something else that really stuck out, as Bob mentioned last month, almost getting hit by one of those dump trucks that go up and down Grove, and you see them on Howardtown. They're also leaving a lot of debris on the roads, which I've noticed. You don't really notice it now because of all the snowstorms, but in the notes that I did read, they said that the developer is very cognizant of it. They do have street cleaners out there very often, and any complaints that do happen that are brought to the board, to the borough, they're addressed immediately by the developer, which I think is a huge deal for something like that. And again, talking about community-based education, community, we're going to be bringing in a large amount of homes, and yet that large developer is really working with the community and really making sure that everybody is happy as we bring in a new community there. So
yeah, very good.
that's it.
It has to be quite the challenge of building homes almost on a weekly basis and not make it a big mess. So kudos to them for that. Any questions for Mr. Bashaw? Seeing none, moving on. Hanover Township, Ms. Reed.
Yes, when I talked to the township, they had given us some good news that they had, they're in the planning stages are 3 new warehouses that are going in Hanover Township, which is good for tax dollars. There's also the fact that Willowbrook Road, they'll be repaving it in the spring, and then that road will be turned over to PennDOT. And it will no longer be a township road. That's about it.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Reed? Seeing none, moving on. PSBA liaison update, Mr. Panto.
I am basically restating what might be obvious. I'd encourage you, as you've gotten probably in your email, the PSBA State Legislative Edition Governor's Budget Address. And if you're tracking on that, I actually did watch the Governor's Budget Address earlier this week, and was intrigued, surprised maybe by a bit of what he said, but I think it's going to bode well for school districts if it's passed as it's presented. It's probably unlikely. There's going to be, as in most things lately, a spirited debate on exactly where things shake out. If you were unaware, it's including a significant personal income tax increase to roughly 4.5%, up from a little better than 3%. So the governor in his last 2 years in office is definitely raising revenue to be able to address things that maybe have for a long time been unaddressed. We certainly know, and I know our administration knows the rigors of putting a budget together. There's a lot of debate over what the flip side of this budget might entail, because if funding doesn't arrive from the state for school systems, then it's going to be in the local communities. So if there is going to be more resources coming from the state, there's already discussion from the legislators that there's going to be property tax relief as part of that discussion. I have already talked to both the representatives in our area. And it's interesting because Zach Mako is a Republican on in the one house, and then Lisa Boscola, a Democrat, in the other. And the responses I got back were very similar on both sides. So it will be interesting to watch. And I put interesting kind of in air quotes, because depending on where you are, as my colleagues on the board, you're also citizens. So everyone's going to have their own opinion in terms of what's actually beneficial. But what I can say is that the presentation is, if it were passed as it's presented, is going to mean that there's a lot more resources for school districts. Now, if that gets distributed equitably, maybe that benefits Catasauqua very well from that standpoint. So pay attention to it. It's going to be discussed throughout the spring now, and we'll see where it goes. But this is one of those budgets that may have a very significant impact on the things that we can do here in the district.
Very good. We'll definitely stay tuned. Thank you, Mr. Panto. Any questions for Mr. Panto?
And if you want, there is I'm sure you receive them in your inbox, but I would encourage you to read the legislative edition that summarizes everything that's in the governor's budget.
Thank you. Moving on, Lehigh Career and Technical Institute update. Ms. Cunningham.
Nothing to report this evening.
Okay. Thank you very much. And do we have our student reps dialed in? I don't.
No,
see them.
they were unfortunately unable to make it tonight.
All right. Very good. Studying hard, I'm sure. Yes.
Always.
Yeah, I assumed nonetheless. Okay, so moving on. Just as a reminder for the board members, when we're asking for motions and seconds, to please state your name as you're making that motion or that second. That way the record can show it easier than trying to recognize somebody's voice over a Zoom call. So that being said, we're moving on to item 7, approval of minutes from prior school board meeting we held on January 12th, 2021. Without objection, I want to combine item 8, approval of treasurer's report for January 2021. Item 9, approval of budget transfers, January 2021. Item 10, approval for payment of all AP bills, February 2021. And number 11, approval to ratify all expenses other than AP for January 2021. And I will stop there.
So moved, Cunningham.
Thank you, Carol. Do I have a second?
Second, McGinley.
Thank you, Sean. Ms. Reed, this is a roll call, please.
Yes. Jason Bashaw,
Yes.
Jillian Emmert,
Yes.
Christy Cooper,
Yes.
Sean McGinley,
Yes.
Carol Cunningham,
Yes.
Dale Hine,
Yes.
Donald Panto,
Yes.
Lauren Cieslak,
Yes.
and Dwayne Dietrich.
Yes. Thank you, board. Next item, number 12, financial. 12A, approval of the Lehigh Carbon Community College proposed 2021-2022 budget. Community college operational budget for fiscal year 2021-2022 shows debt service and capital budgets at $54,271,488, which is a decrease of just over $2 million, or down almost 4% from the prior year's revised budget. Catasauqua Area School District sponsor share will be $162,739, which is a decrease of just a little over $1,000, or almost a percentage point down from last year's revised budget. And I'm going to take these one at a time, so I'm going to ask for a motion to approve.
So moved, Cunningham.
Second, Jillian.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, this is a roll call, please.
Carol Cunningham,
Yes.
Jason Bashaw,
Yes.
Dale Hine,
Yes.
Christy Cooper,
Yes.
Lauren Cieslak,
Yes.
Jillian Emmert,
Yes.
Donald Panto,
Yes.
Sean McGinley,
Yes.
and Dwayne Dietrich.
Yes. Thank you, board. Moving on, item 12B, approval of Carbon Lehigh Intermediate Unit 2021-2022 budget. We're presenting this for approval. The operational budget is 3.2, almost $3.3 million, which is an increase of just over $94,000 from the prior year. The total of all Lehigh and Carbon County District contributions of the operating budget is $819,040, which is a 0% change, like I said in my report. And the Catasauqua Area School District share is $25,496, which is an increase of $3,950 or just under 2% increase. So could I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Cunningham.
Second, Christy Cooper.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, this is a roll call. Ms. Reed?
Sean McGinley,
Yes.
Carol Cunningham,
Yes.
Jillian Emmert,
Yes.
Donald Panto,
Yes.
Dale Hine,
Yes.
Christy Cooper,
Yes.
Lauren Cieslak,
Yes.
Jason Bashaw,
Yes.
and Dwayne Dietrich.
Yes. Thank you, board. Item 12C, approval of Lehigh Career and Technical Institute proposed 2021-2022 budget. The budget is $28,976,100, which is an increase of almost $600,000 or about 2% from prior year. The Catasauqua Area School District share is $818,381. Oh, and 62 cents, don't forget. An increase of just over almost 19,000 or 2.35%. The academic center budget is a little over $2 million based on a projected enrollment of 400 total students at a cost of about $4,500 per student. And the Catasauqua Area School District share of that academic center budget is $84,497, which is an increase of just over $9,000 or almost 13% increase. Stop there and ask for a motion to approve.
So moved, Cunningham.
Second, Lauren Cieslak.
Thank you. Any questions? Concerns? Comments? Seeing none, this too is a roll call, please.
Lauren Cieslak,
Yes.
Sean McGinley,
Yes.
Jillian Emmert,
Yes.
Dale Hine,
Yes.
Jason Bashaw,
Yes.
Christy Cooper,
Yes.
Carol Cunningham,
Yes.
Donald Panto,
Yeah.
and Dwayne Dietrich.
Yes. And the last item on item 12 is 12D, approval of technology purchases and projects for July of 2021. E+ Technology is one service provider, and the next one is Integra One. And I'll stop there just so we keep finance all together. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Cunningham.
Second, Jillian.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, this is a roll call, please.
Christy Cooper,
Yes.
Carol Cunningham,
Yes.
Lauren Cieslak,
Yes.
Jason Bashaw,
Yes.
Jillian Emmert,
Yes.
Donald Panto,
Yes.
Sean McGinley,
Yes.
Dale Hine,
Yes.
and Dwayne Dietrich.
Yes. Thank you, board. Moving on, without objection, I'm going to combine personnel items 13A appointment of extracurricular positions. Substitutes, item B, substitutes. Item C, approval for short-term substitute rate of $180 per day for Cathy Moore, effective January 22nd, running through February 4th. Item D, approval for short-term substitute rate of $180 per day for Tiandra Regal, effective approximately February 10th to approximately May 4th, 2021. Item E, approval for short-term substitute rate of $180 per day for Janelle Sentwani. I apologize if I said it wrong. Effective approximately January 19, 2021 to approximately April 12, 2021. Item F, approval of substitute rate of $130 per day for Tara Soliar. Again, I apologize. Effective January 27th, 2021. Item G, approval of FMLA for employee number 2020. Item H, approval of FMLA for employee number 2349. Item I, resignation, and we'll stop there. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Cunningham.
Second, Bashal.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, this is a roll call, please.
Donald Panto,
Yes.
Sean McGinley,
Yes.
Jason Bashaw,
Yes.
Christy Cooper,
Yes.
Jillian Emmert,
Yes.
Dale Hine,
Yes.
Lauren Cieslak,
Yes.
Carol Cunningham,
Yes.
and Dwayne Dietrich.
Yes. Thank you, board. Continuing on, item 14, curriculum, Catasauqua High School Career Planning Guide. And without objection, I'd like to move on to and combine 15A, an authorization to bid for fuel oil in the 2021-2022. Approval of the first reading of policy 808, food services, the policy that Mr. Nur had talked about in his report. Item C, approval of summer school at Allentown City, Northampton area, and Whitehall Copley school districts. As well as item D, authorization and approval of contract with Miller Sports Construction for alumni field improvements as per specifications in accordance with CoStar's contract number 014-171, 008-445 in the amount of $3.896 million. Item E, authorization and approval of contract with Southern Bleacher for alumni field bleacher upgrades and replacement as per specifications in accordance with National Purchasing Cooperative, DBA Buy Board contract number 583-19 in the amount of $664,700. Item F, authorization and approval of contract with Musco Lighting LLC for alumni field lighting replacement as per specifications in accordance with CoStar's contract number 008-119 in an amount not to exceed $265,140. And lastly, item G, approval of additional revised ban of bus stops as noted in the agenda. And I'll stop there. And do I have a motion?
So moved, Cunningham.
Second?
Second, McGinley.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, hearing none. This too is a roll call, please.
Jillian Emmert,
Yes.
Donald Panto,
Yes.
Lauren Cieslak,
Yes.
Christy Cooper,
Yes.
Carol Cunningham,
Yes.
Jason Bashaw,
Yes.
Sean McGinley,
Yes.
Dale Hine,
Yes.
and Dwayne Dietrich.
Yes. Thank you very much. Moving on, we're going to combine items 16 old business, 17 new business, 18 accommodations, 19 information items, and 20 correspondence. And we'll start with Wayne Caress.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to thank the board for the continued support of technology. The network project with the UPS protection is really going to go a long way to keep our network reliable, which is really needed at a time like this with all the online learning. It is going to provide for future expansion if we ever would decide to go with an IP-based phone system, which our new phone infrastructure will handle. The network end of it will be able to handle it as well. I think it's just, the other thing is the timing is ideal by leveraging the E-rate funding. Roughly, we're getting $200,000 in equipment and services for under $50,000. So it's real bargain that I think it's great that we're taking advantage of it. You never know when these programs change. So we're sort of getting in on the ground floor.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Caress? Seeing none. Kathy Cotran.
I would just like to also thank the board for their technology support. It's been invaluable as far as working with the students, with the technology, along with having the infrastructure to support it. And I wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Mall.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank the board as well as Mr. Spangler for where we are with our alumni field project as an alum and someone who's lived here forever and worked here. And it's kind of hard to believe we're actually at this point. Also, thanks to Lehigh Valley Health Network, who kind of got the ball rolling in the beginning. I think it's exciting times, and it's going to be an exciting next 6, 7, 8 months. So thank you, board. Thank you, Bob, and everybody else that was involved.
Agreed. Thank you. Excellent. Next up, Mr. Doberman.
Just a few things for Sheckler tonight. We have Valentine's Day parties coming up this week. Of course, they'll be COVID safe and friendly. Our teachers have been figuring out how to still go along with this tradition and maintain the protocols that we need to. So those will happen this week, pending weather. We also are involving our online students with Valentine's Day parties because our online teachers are doing their best to keep those kids connected to our school. So they're doing a great job with that, and they've all figured out a way to do it. And I'm asking no questions, but those ladies have it going on right now with regards to those online students. We will also be taking CDTs this month. Our 3rd and 4th graders have been prepping for those CDTs, learning how to use that online system for the first time this year in preparation to take online PSSA testing this year for the first time. And that's about it for February.
Very good. Thank you. Ms. Inselman, what's new at CMS?
Thank you and good evening. Well, we have for the remainder of February, we have our Oveus class meetings on the 16th of this month, which address social and emotional learning. And we'll tie in random acts of kindness since the 17th is Random Acts of Kindness Day. So if you're in line and you're going to buy a coffee for somebody, just let me know the date and time and when you're going to be there, and I will be in front of you. That's a joke. We have our cycle 3, is ending for our related arts, and we'll be starting cycle 4 on the 19th. So this school year is rapidly coming to, an end. We only have a couple months of school left, and it's hard to believe that. We also have virtual Weller Center presentations that we'll be scheduling for grades 6, 7, and 8 on various topics. We also have our 5th grade is participating in the PP&L Electric Utilities Think Energy Take Home program with our 5th graders. So that'll be interesting to see what they're going to do at home with energy. We also have our 5th grade class is going to receive a virtual free presentation on Abraham Lincoln through the Lehigh County Historical Society. And then we have several teachers that'll be participating in the IU's content networking group for this month and next month in the areas of science, social studies, and math. So that is what's happening at CMS.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Adam Schnug, CHS.
All right, good evening. First, I'd like to thank the board for approving the career planning guide as well as the new courses for CHS next year. Greatly appreciate your guys' continued support as we develop new electives and new programs at the high school. Very thankful for that. I do want to say congratulations to 2 of our students, Hannah Kershesky and Lexi Rushatz. Both students have qualified for the Future Business Leaders of America Virtual State Conference. And for Hannah Kershesky, this is actually her 2nd year in a row of qualifying, and she's only a junior. So we're pretty proud of both of them. That's a pretty good achievement, especially with all the competition moving to virtual this year. And then the last item I have here is Keystone retakes are scheduled for the 18th and 19th of February, as long as the good Lord turns off this white stuff that keeps falling down from the sky. So
I'll second that as well. Thank you, Mr. Snug. Christy Cooper.
Sorry, couldn't move my mouse. I don't have much to add. I am also I'll go along with Tommy Mull there and say I'm excited for the new changes with the field and the technology changes that we have. Just some exciting changes happening, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results of that. And thank you, everybody, again, like always.
Very good. Thank you. Sean McGinley.
Again, thanks to the staff, administration, and everybody for making it through 2020. And then we get 2021 here and snow coming everywhere. So it's nice to know that the kids are still learning and not going to school till July and getting the most productive winter we can out of this situation. So, you know, it's just amazing where we came from a couple of years ago to where we're at now. And one snow day that we actually had on the books compared to with all the snow we had falling last week is a pretty good accomplishment.
Agreed. Very good. Mr. Bashaw.
Yeah, again, just thanking everybody for what they do. While we're on this meeting, I just found out I have a 3rd close contact for a teacher. So tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day trying to get staff covered. So I know what you guys are going through as administrators, as teachers. So again, I just wish you all the best and stay safe. And just be well out there and take care of your families. And thanks for all you do.
Thank you. Mr. Panto. There he is. Now he's on mute.
I'm working on a new device and the controls are different than what I'm used to. So I was looking for the unmute button frantically.
Throws everything out the window.
It really does. It really does. No, I just echo what everyone else has said. Just hope we can stay safe and get out of this pandemic.
All right. Thank you very much. Jillian Emmert.
Echo what everyone is saying. Thank you to everybody for trying to keep the normalcy, and thank you to Mr. Schnug. I dropped off my items for the Lehigh Valley Cancer Wing today at the North Catty Borough office, and it is immaculate, amazing how many things are up there. And I just want to say thank you to you for letting Jenna, Officer Potak, and Leslie do those kind of things with the community. It really means a lot to us.
Very good. Very good. Lauren Cieslap.
Yeah, a lot of the same comments, but just thank you to everyone for providing our kids with a stable and positive learning environment. The staff is doing just such a great job. So thank you. We made it another month into 2021. So just hopefully exciting times are ahead, and excited to plan the process for next year. And hopefully we can, do the same as next year, give a great learning environment to our kids. So keep up the great work.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Mr. Hine.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the custodial staff after speaking to the borough crew with cleaning up the snow. This was a very difficult snowstorm to clean. I think our custodial staff did an excellent job. I think it was a great decision by the administration to go virtual, to give them the appropriate amount of time to make things safe and think about our kids walking, riding, however they get to school. I also want to thank us board members in approving this project that we're doing at Alumni Fields. With approving what we did tonight, according to the architects, I think we're going to see things happening already in March. And that'll be an exciting time. Hopefully everything goes smoothly, that we don't have lots of change orders, and the finances work out, the way we have them planned. That's it.
Great. Thank you very much. Mrs. Cunningham.
I'd like to thank Mr. Spangler, the administration, and the teachers for a wonderful job they're doing. And happy Valentine's Day.
Very good. Thank you very much. Ms. Reed. She's on mute. By the way, just I saw that's the quote of 2020. You're on mute. That's the quote. So
I think she's having the same problem I had.
that's right. She is. She's nodding yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. Oh,
Yes,
there she goes.
yes, I am. It's a new computer, and
Yeah,
I couldn't find the button.
it's hard
That's all
to
right.
find the button on a new device. I
That's all right.
understand.
Understandable.
I just want to echo what Dale said. The custodial maintenance staff did an amazing job last week. It was a tough week with 30 inches of snow, going out for 5 days shoveling. I had a few that said that they hadn't shoveled that much in their entire lifetime. So, and they did a great job of it.
Excellent.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nur.
I have nothing to add besides happy Valentine's Day for everyone.
Thank you very much. Mr. Spangler.
Well, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And
Right back at you.
it is certainly reflected in all of your commentary that really it's truly just one big team here in Catty. And that's how we approach everything, and that's how we get through everything. And no one is spared being a member of the team, and we appreciate every single person's role. And it's been a tremendous school year. Our kiddos have had opportunities that we're very proud of here in Catasauqua Area School District. And as you know, we're planning for next year already. Our parents have received surveys as far as feedback from current year, and looking forward to next year. And we're going to plan around that and kind of get an early jump on things, so we are ahead of the game for next year. So just looking to continue the great things here in Catty. I greatly appreciate your support and the community support. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Les Demling.
I was just going to mention the parent and guardian feedback surveys. Those are available on the building Facebook pages as well as the district website. So any parents and guardians of students in K through 12 should please respond to those to help us with our planning efforts. And they will be available until Friday at 3 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to add, kudos to everybody. Again, echoing what everybody else said. I think if what always strikes me out truly on a daily basis is that this pandemic has been awful, but there was a silver lining. It allowed us to, as a school district, to plan, to organize, to keep the kids first, so that when you are faced with a pandemic, 30 inches of snow, murder hornets, whatever else you want to throw at us, we're ready to just turn on the switch, and there's no interruption in learning, and again, kiddos are first, and I'm just blown away by it. And the more, unfortunately, the more we do it, the better we get at it. So I guess that's the silver lining in everything. So that's all for now. Again, happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Thank you very much. And last but not least, recognition of guests and visitors. Do we have any guests and or visitors, Ms. Cochran?
We have about a few YouTube watchers. However, nobody has any comments for us.
Okay. Well, thank you for the YouTube watchers. Hopefully, what do they say? Subscribe and like. That's what we want to do. So very good. Next meeting dates, Tuesday, March 9th at 7 o'clock. That's the general school board meeting. And then Wednesday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. The committee meetings start 4 o'clock buildings and grounds, 5 o'clock academics, and 6 o'clock athletics. And the last order of business is adjournment. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Cunningham.
I don't need a second.
Second, Christy Cooper.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. And so